Hi, welcome to Happy Hour with Ruth
and Roxy.
We're glad you're here. So what are we going to do today, Roxanne?
Oh, we're going to have some wine. We're going to talk about some stuff. We're going to relax and laugh. And I'm going to stop twitching, hopefully, because I've had quite the afternoon and I'm like, I don't know. I can't settle down.
It's a thing.
It's a thing. It's Friday afternoon and I want to be settling down. So this is perfect.
This is where we go. Okay.
Yep.
Well, while you settle down,
okay.
What Roxanne and I have decided to do is start with gratefuls. Mm-hmm. And one of the things, so my husband and I, every morning when we walk the dogs, we each do 5 things we're grateful for. And we've done it for about 10 years. And it's become so ingrained, when you don't do it, you miss it. And so we thought we'd share with you that we would do these gratefuls. And so my grateful is, and we'll talk about this a lot more depth in the sort of first segment, but I'm grateful that we're doing this. I'm grateful we're going out of our comfort zone. We're doing things we don't know about, including setting up technology. And it's good for our brains, but it's also good achievement. At a certain age, you might think you know it all, and you don't. But the other side of that is it also opens up exciting new things when you've accomplished something.
Yes.
Right? Yep. And I think that's what I'm grateful that we're doing this, that we're capable of trying new things, because it's scary. Mm-hmm. And I'm grateful that we get to share it with people, and we will certainly get feedback on how we can do better. We'll talk about a lot of that later. But that's the good part of it. Although I would encourage, if you're going to give us feedback and it's like, hey, you could do this better and this better and this better, tell us one thing we're doing good, because human nature is...
Please be kind. We're very, very sensitive souls.
Yeah, about some things, but it is. But I think that's part of it is finding something, even when it's a challenging thing, to be grateful for, right?
Well, that's a great segue to my grateful, because I'm grateful today for tech wizards who know stuff. Because I spent the afternoon working with my tech person who is helping me redo my website, which has been quite a disaster, because I'm not a techie person. And she was patient and she's kind and she knows stuff. And now I know a little bit more than I did before. And even podcast wise, I purchased a course and I'm learning. You're way ahead of me on all this stuff, but I need to know some of this tech stuff. So I'm doing the modules, and I'm learning about mics, and I'm learning about other things that I can't think of right now.
Well, software programs to record.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Like we've been having these conversations. Right now we're doing it through iMovie, so I can edit the videos poorly, but I'm getting better. But the other side of that is, as we go along, we will improve our technology. We will improve our use of the technology and our abilities with it. But that goes to the learnings.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. Yeah. So I'm grateful that I like learning, and that there's stuff out there. Like it's challenging, big time challenging. I'm reeling from everything that is involved with just migrating a website from one host to another host.
Your brain is full.
My brain is full. It's probably leaking out my ears just a little bit.
But you have those days, right, where it feels like so much information comes in that it's overwhelming. And then you walked across and it was cold.
But it was cold.
All of it was really all
cold.
Of it. Speaking of cold, though, we have new things, and we're going to get Roxanne to model them. Yes. So you can see the logo, Happy Hour with Ruth and Roxy, and then she can turn around for us, and hopefully you can read it. There we go. It says, more happy hours, less bullshit. So that was our exciting thing for last week. And someday we'll have them for sale. Not today.
Nope.
But if you're interested, you can email us, because I swear I'm going to get us an email address. But
right now they're just ours.
They are just ours. And our husbands. We got some for them.
Yep. Yeah, they're very lucky.
They are very lucky. Yes. They are very lucky.
Have the cool wing.
Yep. So one of the things we wanted to talk about today, well, I wanted to, and Roxanne kindly agreed, but we don't disagree on much of that. And we don't disagree on topics. Actually, we have, knock on wood, we have yet to disagree. And even if we did, it's a podcast of 2. We get to do things the other one might not be interested in.
Who really cares? What's worth arguing about? Nothing.
And honestly, as much as we're different, we kind of have the same interests. So
Mhm.
it's never gonna, it's
Yeah.
never, I mean, one of us isn't gonna come in and say, I'd like to talk about spoons. Although I have to admit, if you said that, I'd be interested.
You'd be like, spoons?
Yeah, tell
I
me
can
more
already
about
see it.
spoons.
I can already see it.
What do I not know about
Yep.
spoons?
Yep.
But
Now I'm challenged. Come up with something that
Spoons.
you're going to find is a terrible idea to talk about.
yeah, there's really not much. But there's a meme out there, and it says, your first podcast will be terrible. Your first novel will be awful. Your first magazine article, your first painting will be horrendous. And then it's like, do it anyway, because that's how you get better.
Yeah.
And I don't think we've talked about this in other podcasts, but now, so just as doing it better, we're actually going to have show notes for this episode.
Yeah.
So we're going to do better about remembering what we said in other podcast, in the last podcast.
Yeah, we kind of get going, and you know, sounds pretty interesting to us. And then afterwards, what did we talk about?
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't really know.
But we're getting better, and I think that's if we can step out of our comfort zone, and we're talking about putting ourselves out there, and we're introverts, we're talking about going on video, which you might be a bit more comfortable with than me, because you take selfies. Like, I don't want any pictures of me out there. When I die, I want people to be like, what the hell did she look like?
Oh, brother, I got bad news for you, girlie. I've been going through my photos. I have photos of you.
Dang.
I do.
But we're going out of our comfort zone with the technology, with even just figuring out, honestly, YouTube and Apple Podcasts and all the
things the youngins are into these days.
That's exactly. Which and we do have youngins in our lives that we could ask, but we want to try and do it ourselves for the most part.
Yeah. We want to do it all by ourselves.
That's right, because that's what Google's for. Although you have to watch who you listen to on Google, because sometimes I listen to Google and I go to do it and it's like, that's not right.
Yeah. But we have access to good tech support too. And you know, like, we're smart people. We can do this.
I'm smart sometimes.
And it's going to suck at first. And this is, but this is exactly what you're saying.
Yep. It's exactly.
The first early days of anything, do it anyway.
Yeah.
Do it anyway. And I mean, I think we have talked about the exercise program that we do with the virtual reality headsets.
Yep.
There's so many people on there on the Facebook community that come in and they say, I've never exercised before, or I've got chronic health issues, injuries, whatever, that make me not want to exercise or feel inadequate in it. Like, never go to a gym for all the reasons, but they do this and they're like, oh, I started off and I could only do this, and it felt so terrible. And then I did it again the next day, and I did it again the next day, and it started feeling better, and now I can level up a little bit. And it's so true. And so here's when I published my first book back in whenever it was, can't remember. I want to say about 2010, something like that. It was with a small Canadian press, a boutique press, a good one, but it was first book, and they sent review copies out. They still were doing that at the time, which doesn't happen as much anymore. But the Globe and Mail picked it up.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I got reviewed in the Globe and Mail. Yeah, it wasn't a good review though.
Shoot.
It wasn't a bad review.
Right.
But the comments were something along the lines of, these are all first novel problems. Like, this is interesting. I hope it goes to a series, but it's got first novel problems. I was devastated. And so when I was talking with some writer friends about it, and they just looked at me. It was one guy in particular who's very well published and has been in it much longer than me. And he just looked at me and he said, these are the problems you level up to. Like, at first you wanted to be published. Well, now you're published. And now it's like, well, now I want good reviews. Well, keep writing and you'll get good reviews, but you don't get it all at once.
Who is the reviewer?
Margaret. I can find it. Yeah, I've got it.
We'll have to loop back, because probably I was out here then, but I used to be a journalist, so I would probably know them. But I also you would know. I also know that, especially in Toronto, there's a whole group of people that are quite influential in the sharing of books and movies and stuff. And as soon as a reviewer says they don't like it, they all go, or they buy the book. And they do it because they have, for some reviewers, they have an attitude that they're elitists and snobs. Right. And so their thing is like, you're not telling me this isn't good. And the other thing is, you know, I'm glad the reviewer said these are first novel issues, right? Because what that also says, oh my goodness, I could read a first novel, like a person's first novel, and grow along with them, right? Like there's the other side of that, but it goes back to it, right? So you fight all this way to get a novel, and then you get it, and then there's the fight for the next thing, and that's what learning and growing
that's
is.
That's it. That's what it is,
right?
It's just, it's part of everything. I mean, I play piano really, really badly. I don't really play piano, so. But this is the same sort of thing. Like, I know that people who, okay, everybody keyboards these days, right?
Yep.
Everybody uses a keyboard. Do you think about it when you're using your keyboard? No, you don't, because you've done it so much. Yep. But for all of us, when we started doing that,
oh yeah,
it's like, I mean, I learned to type on a typewriter. You probably did too. And we had to learn exactly, the kids
that's
now.
That's how old we are.
Yeah. Oh, that's enough of that. But they, like my husband, he's a 2-finger keyboardist, and he's fast. Yep. And I don't know if the kids learn proper, like actual whatever her name. I don't know how they learn that now.
Or they grow up with it, kind of, though.
Yeah.
Right?
So they're natives on it. Their fingers just go there. Yeah. But if you were to get somebody who's never touched a keyboard before to learn it, it would be painful. But to get to that place where you don't have to think about it anymore is huge, right? I'm not there with piano. I don't think I ever will be. But I am with keyboarding.
Right.
I am with some other things, but it takes that huge trial and trial.
And is it Malcolm Gladwell? How many hours? 3,000 hours? 10,000 hours. 10,000. See, I'm always trying to cut things down.
Yeah.
But I think whether you, even if you always do it poorly, if you give it your best, like when I was thinking about today's podcast, I was thinking about this, and then I was thinking about some of the things like Supernatural, because now I'm doing highs and pros only. And when I first started on lows, it was like, oh my goodness, I'm never going to be able to. But you do that. But then I think about sourdough, and I liked making sourdough, but it was challenging, and I was never going to be as good as you at it. But I gave it 2 years, and I tried really hard, and I may go back to it. But at some point also, when you realize you kind of hit your limit on something, and if you don't love it enough, right? Like I love making cheesecake, and I'm good at that. I was okay at sourdough, right? And but the other thing is, it's if you're really good at, or you're not so good at something, and you have good right beside you, or there's a really good place.
I may never make a cheesecake ever again in my life.
But you know what I mean? Like then there's the balance of that, is also knowing when it's not fun anymore.
Right. Exactly.
And I think that's part of it. So it's like this. We're going to do it as long as it's fun.
Totally. This is fun. As long as there's wine, it will be fun,
well,
I think.
Well, there you go. And
which is why we started in the first place.
But that's true. And part of the reason for this was thinking about the people that maybe aren't as fortunate to have close proximity, right? Because we both have good friends that aren't close by that you can't do this with. But this might be something where they might want to come in, or someone maybe who just needs to come and have a drink at 5 o'clock on a Friday or something.
Yeah.
But it's also about maybe inspiring people to do things. So we're hoping you'll tell us what it might have inspired you, so that can inspire us, because a community goes round and around. It's not one line out, right? It's back and forth.
Yeah.
But if at our age, we're not saying what our age is.
Youthful. It's youthful.
That's right. Youthful attitude. But to try new things opens up a whole bunch of doors you don't even realize.
Yeah. It opens your brain up, because you don't know what you don't know until somehow you find it out. Because you don't know what you don't know, because you don't know it. And then as soon as you start trying something new, it's like, whoosh, you learn different ways of thinking.
Yeah.
And that is so huge. I really hope to keep learning and keeping my mind and my heart open to new things, as I get older. I know people who have really drilled down into the thing that they believe in. This is the thing that they love. It's really important to them, to the exclusion of everything else.
Right. So they get on blinders.
I think that's what happens. Yeah. And I know that's a real risk for me too, because I love what I love and I don't love change, but I don't want to be that way.
Right.
I want to be open. and learning constantly. And that requires a lot of bad reviews, because you're going to do stuff and you're going to flop at it,
Yeah. And it takes courage, right? Like it takes courage to put yourself out. Like I think, actually, I don't think anybody's going to go, wow, look at, look at how great that podcast is. I don't think you're going to say that, but I also don't know if people are conscious of that it takes courage to do this.
Yeah.
Right. The same, it takes courage to make a new dish for dinner or for people. Right. You know what I mean? Like that kind of thing. It takes courage to go up for me, to go up at a networking event. And like all these things, if you just move yourself out of what your brain's telling you, is all of a sudden, none of it's ever as bad as you think.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Comfort zones.
Yeah. Yeah. And we will continue to get better, and we want input and we want feedback. And
I mean, I don't know, maybe we won't continue to get, maybe this is it. Maybe this is as good as it gets.
That's
and
a
all
fair
it's gonna
point.
be, this is it. And you know what? Maybe we'll keep doing it this way anyway, because we're just having a darn good time.
Well, and that's but that's also a really good point. I don't know, will we ever get, so good at it that
will we ever be touring with Smart Liz?
I would like to.
I'm throwing that in there for SEO right now.
Fellows.
Yes. Yeah.
You should bring us.
You would love us.
You would.
Guys.
We're funny. And we're old enough to be your moms.
Jason Bateman, we will try to feed you.
Yeah, we will feed you. Just saying. Yeah. Yeah. But I think that's a really fair point. And the other side is, we had some feedback about talking to the camera, which is fair because that's not what podcasters do. And there is that. So what is it? The
fourth wall.
Okay. Yeah. But you know what? I kind of feel like you're here with us, and I can't help it.
I know, because that's what we do. If someone was sitting across the table from us, this is how we would be doing it. This is how we'd be talking.
And so we hope this works. If I don't know, 100 of you, I would hope 100 people would watch this. But if you all tell us that sucks, then we'll consider it.
Hey, if 100 people tell us that sucks, I'll be like, yay, 100 listeners.
But I think the other thing is we have to stay true to who we are in this, because we're not doing it to have a successful podcast. We're doing it to have a good podcast where we have fun and you have fun.
Yeah.
And I think that's always got to be the theme of it. And that maybe all of us walk away with something at the end to remind us to be kind or to take a risk or to reach out to somebody. Like, you would hope that at the end of it, for each of us, whether it comes from our community giving us ideas or giving us feedback, or it comes from us, that we walk away and we feel a bit better about the world, or we feel a bit better about what we can do to make the world better.
And where we fit into the world. I mean, that's basically before we started this, when we would get together on Fridays at your place or my place, and we'd have a glass of wine and olives and cheese and crackers and all the things that went with it to make it a really great time. We come away feeling like, oh, that was great. You know what? I feel like the world is a slightly better place now.
Yeah.
Because of that. And that's what this is all about.
That's the point.
That is Happy Hour with Ruth and Roxy.
So feedback is good. Please be kind, because we are humans. And we do get hurt feelings.
I get really,
a gentle soul.
I'm very fragile.
but I think that's a good thing to talk about. So it would be good to hear, because I am going to make us an email address this weekend. I would love. It's like what are the things that you're doing that you're not doing well right now, but you're doing because you like it,
and you're determined to keep doing.
At least until you don't like it anymore.
Yeah. If something, like, I think when I was a kid, piano lessons were painful, and I think my parents would say I didn't do them, and I would have to agree because I don't remember that, like, practicing. And then as I got older, I still really wanted to play, and practicing continued to be painful. So I'm not helping our illustration here at all, because it continued being painful, which is probably why I don't do it. But then when I find a song that I like and that I can play, I play it and play it and play it until my husband is like, oh, for sake, can you please find something else?
But I think that's what it goes to. You're never going to be a concert pianist, right? You're never going to go with whoever on tour with Yo-Yo Ma or whoever it is.
Absolutely.
Does Yo-Yo Ma play piano?
Cello, actually.
Oh, never mind. Anyway, clearly I know nothing about music that's not Jimmy
Cello and
Buffett.
Piano would be great together, though.
But the other thing is when you find songs you like, that's what motivates you, right?
Yeah.
Like, totally. And I think, like, there are other things, like, I have to say, so backstory, I don't really like fish. So if somebody said to me, you love cooking, you need to cook fish for the next month, and be like, I'm out.
Yeah.
Right. So I think it's got to have that nugget of something, right? It can't just be playing piano or like the people who run for exercise.
Oh my God, those sick
Bless
individuals.
their hearts. Bless their hearts. But the other thing is, they find something in that, because when you ask most of them, they don't necessarily like running. They like what running brings to them. And for many of them, especially here, because we're out kind of in the country, they like being out in nature. Like there are other elements.
Yeah.
Whereas like I haven't heard many runners say, I love to run. They like being a runner and all the things that running comes with it. Because honestly, running hurts.
So I was a runner for a while. There was a few years where I was really into it, and I actually really liked it.
Did you like the running part?
I did like the running part. I actually
did
just
like my whole argument.
Yeah, but two things can be true. I absolutely believe that it is a mental illness, running, and that I had it for a while, and it's like, what's wrong with me? But I don't know, maybe I was hooked on the endorphins.
I think I like, see, that's just it. I can see how running makes you feel, because that's how working out in the virtual reality makes me feel. If I'm in a cranky mood in the mornings, I go in there and I feel better, because you get to bash things. You don't get to bash things when you run.
Nope, it's very true. But there's milestones. It's like, ooh, I can make it to the next line in the pavement. Or I can make it to the next. Yeah, and we lived in a really hilly area at the time when I was into it. And it was like, I felt like a machine. Like it was like, oh, I'm just going to make it to the top of this hill. Oh yeah, it was great. And then
so you actually liked the actual activity of running.
I actually did. Like it. I know. It doesn't. I don't now. Now I'm like, what the hell was wrong with me? Well, and then my knees kind of hurt, and I went to the doctor, and he sent me to a sports guy, and the sports guy looked at my knees, and he's like, what are you thinking with those knees? What's wrong with you? Anyway, so that ended that.
Well, because for a while,
concert pianist and long distance runner, two things.
I ran a half marathon with Melina.
Oh, you
we have a friend, Melina, who is a fabulous human, and I loved doing it because it gave me time with her.
Yes.
I freaking hated running. You have to go out in every weather.
Oh yeah, that
hills. People, come on, seriously, hills.
It's going up's not bad. Going down trashes your knees. It's just terrible.
It's just
there's so many better ways to spend your time.
Yeah. This being one of them.
Yeah, this definitely being one of them.
Okay, so that's good. So now we're doing things in little segments, because that's what podcasts are supposed to do. So we're figuring this out. So the next segment, we can talk about, Roxanne. Got any books? Oh wait, I want to go back to I want to go back for 1 second, because there is a book I want to talk about doing things that scare you.
Okay.
There's a book called Life with Eleanor, and I'm going to forget the name. I'm going to forget the name of the author, and that's terrible. Roxanne will get it. But I read it at a time when I was definitely feeling life was coming at me too hard, and it's about this young writer, and she loses her job, and then she decides to do a blog, but she decides to take on sort of
My Year with
Eleanor. Sorry, that's it. And so every day she does something that scares her. Ooh. And sometimes they're big, huge things, and sometimes she hasn't done something that scares her, and she lives in an apartment. And one time when she couldn't, it was like, I don't know, 11:45 or something p.m., and she hadn't done anything that day that scared her. So she took off all her clothes and ran up and down her hallway naked.
No way.
But it's got this, and I believe this is a true writer who had lost her job and stuff. But that really inspired me, because it's like, it doesn't have to be a big thing that scares you, but do one little thing. Even if you did one thing a week where you're out of your comfort zone, right? Which is kind of what this is. Although once we get going, we're in our comfort zone, because it's like if we had a friend here, you, and we were talking, and it's really good. But the whole thing about putting them out there after they're produced, it's kind of scary.
A little scary. Did you know that most people, if they were to list the things that scare them the most, public speaking is at the top of the list? Over death. Over death.
People are stupid.
Over death, Elaine. We've been watching a lot of Seinfeld lately. And this came up, and he's like, so that means if you're at a funeral, you would rather be in the casket than at the podium
speaking,
giving the eulogy.
Yeah.
But that's kind of what this is. But think about like you're really good at managing. I mean, that's part of your job, right? Is to be in front of groups. I've seen you. You're very, very competent, very capable. And you're a strong introvert, and I'm a strong introvert. And public speaking, until I was probably in my 30s or 40s, that's how I felt about it. But it wasn't about the public speaking part. It was because I was unconfident in myself.
Yep.
And now I remain an introvert. And when I have something to say, I'm very happy to say it. But there's still that moment where it's like, ooh, are you gonna just like elbow your way into that conversation and say the thing, or stand up in front of that crowd and say the thing? And afterwards, when you say the thing that you wanted to say,
Yep.
and you didn't bite it back because maybe you were scared, or maybe it
Yep.
might ruffle some feathers or whatever, there's a rush of power.
Yep.
It's like you've electrified your own self with
Yep.
your strength.
Yep.
Doing it.
Yep.
Yeah.
No, I think that's like, if it's a planned thing in front of somebody, like if I have to do presentation training or media training, or I'm doing like a speech for a public relations society, that stuff, that doesn't, I mean, it frightens me a bit, but I'm not too scared of it, because as long as I've worked at it and paid attention and practiced, I'm okay. I don't necessarily like it, but it's okay. But if there's something going on, and like I've made a commitment to myself, when I hear somebody say an inappropriate joke, before I just walk away, because often you can't change them. But now I need to say something.
Yeah.
Because for me, the other side is, all those people around that person need to understand it's not appropriate. And also, I don't know who's in that group that maybe has somebody they love or they are affected by, if it's a joke about a trans person, or it's a joke about a religion, or it's any of that, or it's just a straight outright freaking racist remark. I have made a commitment to myself to say to that person, I'm not sure what I'm hearing. And I'll give them the benefit of the doubt and do it. But when my mom was alive, what she used to say to us all the time was, you have to stand up for others, even if your voice shakes.
Wow.
And that sunk in for me, because honestly, I would stand up for myself, but I'll stand up for others a lot quicker these days. And sometimes my voice does shake. But the other side is, it's so important. It's worth fully putting myself out of my comfort zone.
Yeah.
Because I think that's part of it, is if you practice doing it when the stakes aren't high, when the stakes are high, you have more power.
It's true,
right?
You've got a template in your brain. Your brain has felt, oh, this is how this works. You do this thing, you feel brave, you stand up for it, you do it. I did not. I was not good about standing up for myself. I'm probably better now. But it wasn't until I had kids that I really started to realize, oh, okay, I will do this thing. I will stand up and do this hard thing, because can't, and this is really classic for women who have children, is that they will do things to protect their children that they won't do to protect themselves.
Yeah. But you're also, you're, because I've heard you talk about this, you were also conscious of what you were modeling for your children.
Yeah.
Right. The behavior, because it's not always
what
they hear.
Yeah.
Right.
I grew up with my kids, I would say. And so I'm a grown up now. Now would be the perfect time to have children, if I still had working ovaries and a brain and a husband and all the things. Never going to happen.
You have a husband, just saying.
Oh yeah, but not one that would have children again. I'm lucky if I can get another dog with him.
But I think every parent would probably say that, right? Of a certain generation where you had kids younger.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
But the other thing is, and then you have grandkids. But I mean, honestly,
grandkids are better. They're the best.
But I think at whatever stage of life we're in, if you can always look and go, how could I be better about those who are often the target, or who are underserved, or whoever. Like, it's one thing, like, seriously, look at us. We're white. We've lived reasonably privileged. Certainly we didn't come from wealth, but we come from privilege, because we had less barriers, right? Like we had a lot less barriers.
Yeah.
And the thing is, if we get to stand up without being a savior, if we get to stand up because others might not, because there's so much has gone on in their lives. Like, if you're somewhere and you hear like an offside joke, and you think, oh, well, it's just one thing, you don't know that person standing in there isn't, that's not the straw, right?
Yeah.
Like we have to take more consideration, because we're in this gap time where some people don't quite realize what their words do to people, right?
I've been doing these diversity, equity, inclusion, accessibility training modules for a mentorship program that I'll be doing through one of my writing associations, a self-editing course. So I've been working my way through these modules, and for the most part, this is I've been exposed to a lot of this material before, so it's not new, but it's a really excellent reminder, and I've definitely learned some new things as well. But something just as simple as, you see a tall person and, oh, how's the weather up there? To you it's a funny joke. To them it's like the 40 millionth trillionth time they've heard it, and they just want to punch your lights out for saying it. And that's something minor. That's something minor. That's just an irritation. Although anything for any of us that makes us stand out and be different. I mean, we all remember what it's like to be that teenager who just wanted to fit in and be invisible, and for whatever reason you had something different. You just didn't want people to point it out. Now as grown-ups, we want to be unique. We celebrate the thing that makes us different, for the most part. But just remembering what it felt like to be that kid that stuck out. So then if you do have something, if you have a disability, if you're a visible minority, if something else that makes you,
if you're like
just something different from the dominant mainstream, right? You can bet someone's commented unfavorably about it. So just don't be that person.
And stop those, because there are times when you can say to somebody, it's like that's just not cool. And honestly, lots of people don't even realize what they're doing. Like, I've had conversations because back in the day, I used to get all the dumb blonde jokes, right? And it's like, haha, I promise you, I can laugh at myself a lot because I really need to, or else I'd go insane. But the other side of that is like, they didn't have male dumb blonde jokes.
That's right.
Right? So they were actually tearing down the female side of things, right? And I get it, but my reaction these days, because I hope I'm learning, is when somebody comes and says something and it's like, well, that's ridiculous that they'd be upset about that, and it's like, you don't walk in their shoes. So I don't get to decide what's too much for anybody. I get to decide what's too much for me. And I think that's part of it. But it's also like there are times when I've said something and I think, oh my goodness, that's not right. But then I will immediately say, I phrased that wrong, or I shouldn't have said that. And if you catch yourself, because I would hope those that have been targets are looking and seeing who allies are. And it's not that we're perfect, but we're trying and we want to learn. So if somebody came to me and said, hey, you know what, you said this, and it was a real problem. And
I've had people do that to me. It is not a comfortable conversation.
It is not.
It is a terrible conversation. But you know what? It made me think and go, oh, wow, what, I mean, I didn't mean anything by it. And that's when I was taught, that's when I learned that it doesn't matter what I meant. What matters is the impact it had on someone else. So I can be as well-meaning as possible. It doesn't matter.
It's how it lands.
I still have to know my audience. I still have to know who's out there and how they might take what I've said. And if what I've said is an ignorant, in the pure sense of the word, thing,
as in not knowledge,
as in I didn't know. Well, this is your learning opportunity. This is your piano lesson. This is your failed sourdough. Just take it, and learn and do better next time.
And that's just it.
And I fucking hate that. I want to be better right now, all the time.
But the other side is, I think for many of us, you also don't want to have hurt someone.
No,
so it's even more, right?
Yeah.
So it's even more, because it's not a lesson in theory. Right. So I'm all about, because I think words are powerful. And quite a while ago, I took this course about the power of words when it comes to Black people and words that reference slavery.
Ooh, yeah.
Master bedroom.
Yeah.
Master plan. I try really hard not to use that word. And I point it out when others do. And sometimes you get the, come on, really? And it's like, I'm a big believer that words have power. I mean, let me say a word. Joy. Anger. You feel those things. So imagine a word that was born out of hate. Right? And you bring that forward. So apparently, cakewalk is another one.
Oh my gosh, there's so many. Peanut gallery.
Right? But that's just it. Like there are so many things that are a part of our world that you don't know was born from hate. So I feel like for me it's on me to go and learn things, because it's not that anybody's ever called me on it, because honestly the course I was in went really deep, and I expect a lot of people don't even realize, right? Even a lot of people that these words could hurt, because we haven't learned, because we didn't get taught these things.
No.
Right? Except they're filled, they are words born out of hate, and I don't want to use those words.
Yeah, exactly. Even if the current usage does not mean that anymore, it doesn't matter. That's again part of the, well, just because we don't think it's bad doesn't mean it's not bad to someone else. It's not bad to us. Well, yay us, yay privileged us.
Yeah.
The publishing world is filled with, the publishing world is made up and controlled by people of privilege. That is how it has traditionally been. So it's in a bit of a shakeup now with especially authors of color, but authors of all less privileged walks.
Yeah, like underserved communities.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. It has been in the past. I think it's changing now, that if your name wasn't John Smith, if your name was, something that was a clear indicated an ethnic minority, you were less likely to get picked up, even off the slush pile, whatever. So those things are changing very slowly. But even in my organization, the fact that they're putting this much effort into training, editors like me,
right,
to be more sensitive, that's great. But yeah, novels are filled with stuff like that.
Oh, and but honestly, you can go back, 20 years. So, or I don't know how long it was when All in the Family was on. But you go back and you look at those, and it's a bit
20.
shocking.
I love how you think.
I know. It's
40.
like 40. Yeah. It's like, that's like when people are like, oh, vintage, like the 70s. And then they say something and it's like, yeah, how long ago were the 70s? Like, I mean, like 50 years, 53 years ago. But then you look at that, and that was groundbreaking then, because they actually had people coming back and fighting, going back about the Vietnam War, going back about people of color and a bunch of stuff. But the other thing is, think about television, right? So I'm a big fan of the Big Bang Theory because it helps me sleep. And they do have a person of
There's
color.
There's a lot to unpack right there.
There is a whole lot. We'll get to that another time. But think about if you never saw someone that looked like you represented, right? And so you look at Big Bang, they have a person of color. They certainly have strong women characters, all white, just saying. But
wait, Big Bang?
Yeah.
No.
Right? All the women are white.
Oh, the women. Yeah.
But Raj isn't.
No,
and they do have it. Cooper Polly is on there sometime. Oh, that's true. And she's a lawyer. But there is they are shifting over. But imagine you're a person of color. And that's why I think what there was it was with Korean Americans, and I'm fresh off the boat. It was about Koreans immigrating they were in Florida first, and then they moved somewhere else for a restaurant. But that was something. I think more and more shows are having people, but you go back to Friends, and I love Friends.
Yeah, I do too.
Very white.
Very white.
And I'm pretty sure they didn't have a person of color friend at all. Actually, mostly they only had them.
Yeah, mostly they only had them.
But the thing is, imagine that every movie you've gone to and every TV show, nobody looks like you.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And we're starting to get better. Like we are starting to get better. But the thing is, imagine living in a world where you always feel like you don't really belong.
Yeah.
Because that's what because privilege has had a hold on things for so long, right?
Yeah.
And we're really deep and freaking serious today.
Really deep. I know. Where did that come from? We've had a heavy week, I guess. Man. Yeah. No, it's true. Week. Yeah.
But it is. Like, I also think sometimes you go out with your buddies and it's fun and laughter and stupidity, which you'll get a lot from us.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's like there's stuff when you look around the world. And I think coming to the end of the year, we're starting to think about, what are the things I've done well? And as you get to a certain age, 21, just saying, but you get to a certain age, it's like the things you've accomplished financially, or you renovated your house, you did these things. They're important, but they're not as important as what have I done in this year to make me a better person? What have I done to make the world a better place? And you start to, and at least in my head, I'm starting to have these conversations about, because every year, Paul and I kind of write our goals for the next year, like our professional goals and our personal goals and stuff. And coming up, I'm going to have to go look at mine, which always makes you think, what the hell have I done all year?
Where did the months go?
But I think it's good to check in sometimes and be like, let's just remind ourselves that we've got it easy.
Yeah.
Like we had a conversation with a friend, and she was talking about her son, and the conversation was about what happened here in Canada, because our government did really well with people when they're for COVID. They did really well, and they were talking about how much the government spent. And I get it, but we're privileged. Like I know our government, it didn't feel like they had strong enough criteria around who got the money. But everything in COVID moved so quickly that it would be really hard to do that. And as a person, and I know that I'm far, far left, but I'd rather give out too much and try to claw some back.
Yeah.
Because that person that, works in a bar and the bar closed down, like one day you had a job and one day you're out of a job. And lots of people that work in service industries live paycheck to paycheck.
Yeah.
And kind of in my head, it was just like, I don't think I get to criticize them about this, because I do think I have no idea what it felt like when all of a sudden you didn't have a job and you don't have enough for this month's rent.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Exactly. I was so grateful for CERB. I don't think any of my kids needed to access that, but I was so grateful it was there. And
I was really proud of our country.
I was very proud of our country too about that. And I mean, we're in a position where if the worst comes to the worst, our kids know that they can come to us.
Yeah.
Not everybody has that. Not everybody has that. And I mean, honestly, even for, that's the last thing our kids want to do. Ask mom and dad for help if they need it. So I'm glad that they can be adults and access what Canada provides if they need it.
Yeah.
So I'm happy that was there.
Yeah.
I'm so
but it is one of those where I think that's where perhaps some of our education is falling short. And I think it's where that's where my gap is with those who believe in more conservative values. Because I think we could clean up a lot of government overspending and stuff. Like there's lots I think could be fixed. And but also I don't know the whole things about how it all works.
Yeah.
The other thing is I am so grateful because I have really great friends in the US. They got one payment of either $2,000 or $3,000, and that was it.
Yeah.
We were locked down for almost a year.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So imagine your income stops.
Yeah.
Right. And that's just it. But I think that's part of it is, and maybe that's one of the things I can say was an achievement this year is I've started to check my privilege. Right. Is I think I've always been aware of it, but every once in a while I go to say something that's like,
yeah.
Maybe you think that way because you haven't had the barriers.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about something fun now.
What's that going to be? Long pause. Break for station identification.
Okay, I've got one. I leave for Paris in like 5 sleeps.
You do. You are going to have the best food. I'm so happy for you. I'm so excited for you. And the food tour you're going to do, and you're going to see wild animals in Kenya that I don't ever see myself doing a trip like this. So I will be living vicariously through you.
I don't know. I think if once we have the podcast going, and maybe when we start to recommend things that we would only use ourselves, that people will buy it. Like I think there's an opportunity for other trips.
Yeah. We'll see. Maybe one of my novels will be made into a movie. That
would be very good. We could do that to celebrate it.
That's also probably more likely.
I think that's very likely. I think this is very likely too, because I think we're not gonna share anything that we haven't already bought.
Oh yeah. No.
Right? And everything we've talked about so far that we recommend, we've already bought and used. Right?
I can show you something that's fun.
Your shoes?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Yes. She's gonna take off her shoes now.
I really am. Oh, you've got ones. You've got yours on too.
I do too.
Look at these. Look at that. See how cute that is?
It's very cute and it's comfy.
So cute and so comfy. And you know what? On the back, okay, see the rubber? See, it's all embossed and imprinted on there, and it says Toledo because that's the brand. And yours says Toledo as well.
That's not the brand.
It's not the brand. It's not the brand. That's not what I mean. It's the imprint.
Mine stink. Yours don't.
What's wrong with you? It's not bad.
Look at, see?
Toledo's it's like the line. Go closer.
Oh, okay.
Go closer because yours says something great on it.
It says, a house is not a home without a dog.
And you know what's so cool? Like that's her right shoe. I give you my right shoe. The right ones and the left ones, they coordinate, but they do not.
They're different.
Match.
They don't match. Look at, they're different.
And they're just.
I didn't realize I had a green shoe until I looked the other day.
So I have in my mature years discovered that my feet hurt a lot. I don't know what the problem is. I think it's that I spend 10,000 steps a day on my treadmill in front of my desk, which is like for my health.
Yeah.
So that I don't get diabetes and I keep moving and all my parts don't lock up. That's awesome. Now my foot hurts. I'm like,
yeah,
great.
Yeah.
I'm trying. I'm like, one hand is coming in, the other hand's going out. Anyway, so I have to buy shoes that make my feet feel better.
So we're in the stage of comfortable shoes.
Mm-hmm. And these are so UIN.
Yep.
And
they're really good.
Adorable.
And you can get them on Amazon, but you can also get them directly from the company.
Go directly from the company. Amazon is
evil.
A necessary evil. But go to the company. Mine came almost as fast as yours.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Yeah. Not bad.
Did you buy any for Black Friday?
Well, I have 2 pairs.
You have 2 pairs now?
Yep. I might buy another one.
But they are good. And the other thing, the things to invest in are good shoes.
Good shoes, yes. Good dental care.
Yep. Good glasses.
Colonoscopies when you need them.
And this is your public service announcement. Okay, let's go back to travel. Okay. So
you're going to eat good food.
We will have good food in Paris. And in Paris, we're going to a tasting menu at a speakeasy.
Oh,
which will be really cool.
Yeah. Oh, and okay. Also, so what's a speakeasy?
Well, so apparently it's just a restaurant that has a secret place in the back, and there's only so many people. I don't know. It's not more than 30 that they have for those dinners.
Yeah.
So we're doing that. But also Jimmy Buffett was a big fan of Paris, and so I'm going to maybe find a few of the places that he went to because he passed away, and I'm sad. But also I'm going to get a Jimmy Buffett tattoo in Paris.
Oh, that's going to be so great.
I'm going to do mini videos while I'm there for here. And then you and I can dissect them when we come back and we can do commentary. Kind of like, Ruth, you're a little close to the lion. So after Paris, we're going to Kenya on a very nice safari. And we start at Giraffe Manor, which is where they rescue giraffes. And they come and they put their head in your bedroom window to get fed in the morning.
That looks really cool.
That's very cool.
You've been there before.
We have been there before.
And the pictures I've seen of Paul kissing the giraffe.
Yeah.
French kissing the giraffe.
Yeah. The giraffe kissed him, just saying.
Okay. All right. It appeared that there was consent. So
yeah, there was consent. But yeah, it will be really fun. But the other thing is, I think that's sort of part of the things, because we have a really great trip planned for April too. But it's also, so one of the things we want to see when people are here is, do you want to know more about the travels, about who we went with, about what we did there, what we would recommend to do there? And I think that will be the thing that we start to get feedback. And this is a bit of a pilot project, and April will be too, because I think you have to have a taste of what we could do.
In April, we're going to Greece. We're landing in Rome for 3 or 4 days.
Yeah, 4 days, I think.
And then we're spending 10 days
on a cruise to Greece.
Through the
Greece, and I think I think we go to maybe Croatia, Malta, and a couple other places in Italy. Yeah, we do 4 Greek places, and yeah, we haven't paid that much attention because we've been planning this.
Greece is a bucket list place for me, and we haven't done as much traveling as these guys have. So
because we didn't have kids.
Yeah, we had kids.
And
I love them. If they're listening, I love them. Totally worth it.
And in your old age, you'll have somebody to take care of you.
Yeah, we'll see.
I'm hoping I have your kids. I'm working really hard at that.
My kids will take care of you. Me, they'll be like, come on, you can do better.
But I think that's part of it, and that's part of getting better, is the things we'll share, right? And share with you as we're figuring out what our thing is. And some of it's just chat like this, but there's other stuff I know I would find interesting, and that's all we can go by until you start to tell us. But I think at some point in the winter, we're going to go on a field trip to Roxanne's house, and you're going to teach us how to make sourdough.
Oh, I will.
Right?
Oh, I have photos. So I was going through while I was doing some of these video trainings of things that I've seen before, I can't sit still very well. So I was listening and taking notes at the same time as I was cleaning out my photos file on my computer. So everybody, do this, because you don't need to buy more memory on your computer.
You just need to clean your photos.
Files, especially your photos. So I'm going through, and I have probably a dozen times taken pictures of, I have this, I forget what it's called, this plastic container with the graduated indications on the side of, 1 liter, 2 liter, 4 liters, whatever. So I put my dough in, and then I take a picture 2 hours later.
That's cool.
So I've got it at because it goes to almost 4 times the size. So I've got all these pictures. I've got pictures. I have video of my first starter that I made. This bubbling. That's awesome. Bubbling in the dish. It's like bubble,
see,
boiling.
Which is why I didn't like it. My starter never loved me that much.
Yeah.
But I think people like baking, and I have to say I'm fascinated by her process, because I could never get this magnificent sourdough flavor. And and the other thing is, I can make a rustic loaf of bread, and that's kind of what it tasted like. And sourdough is a lot more work, right? But you get this beautiful flavor.
Yeah. When it's a beautiful. So we have this wonderful dinner every year here in the community, a very high-end white table chef designed menu, and they asked me, I think we mentioned
called the long table.
Yeah, we mentioned this at one. So I ended up doing 24 loaves of bread for this thing, and I was bullets of sweat coming out of my.
She handled it well, though.
Is it gonna?
But you did it really well. But I could tell a little bit
that I was freaking out.
She had her hands like a little tight on her glass, and the things were coming out, and I could tell a little bit. But she makes great bread, so I've almost knocked this over twice, but. She makes great bread. I wasn't worried, but I could see. And then it came out, and you could almost see her physically go like,
oh, that's good. Okay. And the next time I made bread after that, which was probably 2 months, I took a break after that. Complete failure. Like utter pancake.
But this goes back to our earlier thing.
Totally.
It's okay to fail. What did you say? Failing up? What did you say the other day?
Yeah, you're leveling up. I mean, honestly, though, if I can do 24 loaves, like over however many days it took me to do that, a couple of days anyway. What the heck happened to me after that? Okay, I lost my mojo. I yipped.
You did. But people get yips. But the other thing is, like, you see these pro golfers, and I don't see them. It's just that my husband has them on.
Oh, we can't avoid it.
But you see them, and this great golfer or this great football player has a crappy game.
Totally.
And these are people that are finely tuned machines, right? Like that's just human. So I think the other sort of message about try something is don't let failure stop you if you like it.
Yeah.
Which is what we're going to do. If nobody likes us, we're just going to keep going. We will just be so persistent that you finally go, okay, I'll listen to you. So
hey, you know what? You just hit on the key to publishing success. Just keep writing books. Keep writing books until they're like, oh, fine, just shut this one up.
But you know what? I think that's an element to the key to success for everybody. Because I can remember when we opened our little communications agency, and people are like, no way. And it was like, try me. But then it was like, we were just persistent, because it wasn't
just makes my heart so happy to hear that. I love that.
But it wasn't like it was easy. And people are now, they're like, oh my goodness, you guys hit success so quickly. And it was like, I cashed in RSPs in the first 5 years.
Yes.
You know what I mean? We had a lot of sleepless nights. We worked really hard up until the last year. We didn't take holidays where we didn't work sometimes. Right. But the other, and I don't
think you can.
No, because I kind of do. I really do like my job, and I'm also a control freak. But the other side of that is don't let a failure stop you.
Totally.
Right. Because so I was reading, and there was a bunch of people who I'm not going to remember now, but a whole bunch of people didn't get their start until their 40s or 50s or 60s. Right. And the other thing is, we have this idea in our head about what success is. Throw it out and decide what success. Like, sit down. If you drink a bottle of wine and write down what success is for you. Yeah. Right? Because, and if you don't, then drink tea and figure it out. I think it'd be more fun if you drink wine. Definitely. That's a whole other thing.
But, like, think about J.K. Rowling. Nobody wanted Harry Potter. Yeah. The single.
Although I'm mad at her right now.
Well, whatever. not working for my point here.
No, it's
but think about Bohemian Rhapsody. I can't say that word. Bohemian Rhapsody.
They told them not to make it.
They told them not to make it. They said you can't. No one will listen to this.
It's too long.
Did
you learn that in Supernatural?
No, I actually learned that from the movie itself.
Oh, okay. Because they say it in Supernatural.
Yeah, they do.
Because there's a workout to that.
There's a good one in there. Yeah. But yeah, there's so many examples of that, right? It's like, this is weird. This is offside. No one will want this. You know what? Do the thing that nobody wants. Nobody wants this podcast, and we're doing it.
We're doing it. But the other thing is, and also take feedback, take it in and take it seriously.
Yep.
And also realize they might not have your vision.
Yes.
Because everybody that tells you how you could make it more like everybody else, that would be maybe good for a podcast for them or a thing or except for bread. When you're doing bread, you have to listen to the thing because there's very specific things about bread.
There are certain rules that are unbreakable.
Yeah, but with that, like, we're going to do this and we're going to do it our way. We're certainly going to take feedback, and we learned lots about things. Like Roxanne's husband had a really good point. When we first got on, we would cheer and then we'd drink and then we gave you dead air.
And he's like, no one wants to see that.
And it's true. That's good feedback.
Yeah.
But the other side is we're going to do it our way. And if it works, that's great.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't, we tried.
And also now he has to give us 5 good pieces of compliments.
Right.
Before he's allowed another criticism.
Although he did say something nice the other day about this. Yes. Okay. I'll think about what it is.
You're going to have to come back to
that. Yes, I will have to come back to it.
Yeah.
Anyway, but I think looping it sort of all together is it's okay to not be good at something. It's okay to fail. Because the other thing is, oh my goodness, I'm trying to think of, it's like like Albert Einstein or somebody like that failed more times than he didn't.
But they all, anybody involved. Oh God almighty. Oh.
But that's just it, right? The only way you get better is to try and fail. Because so we have a conversation all the time saying to people is, you learn more from your failures than you do from your successes. Right?
It is true. It is true. I've learned a ton watching you do this podcast. Ruth's been more on the tech end of this, but now I am learning about the tech because I need to be able to participate in the conversation, even if it's hard with 2 hosts. One person kind of has to have all this stuff on their devices and whatever, but I need to pull my weight in terms of at least knowing what the stresses are and how I might be able to help.
Yeah, so, and finding ways to make the podcast better for our community is a part of that. And some of it is tech to make, our mics work better. And maybe part of that is me putting our mics away in the same place so I can find them and charge them. But the other side of that is, if we have a bad episode, then I don't think we're ever going to have a negative episode. But if we have a bad episode where technology fails and maybe one of us is cranky, or we tell you about a book and it's the wrong book, and it's like, that's just human.
Yep.
And we're going to do that. And that's what a podcast is. This is not network television.
Nope. It sure is not.
Although, I don't know. I'd like to figure out a way to make enough money that we could get a makeup artist to say.
Ooh.
So that's our goal. Not that we're asking you for money, but like, there's got to be a way.
Oh, my kids would do that. Yeah. At least 2 out of my 3 kids would be.
They could give us lessons on camera.
Yeah. They could. Ooh, that would be fun.
That would be fun, right?
Yeah.
But I think it sort of goes back. It's like the travel thing. I would hope we're able to pull travel into it, because it's certainly really important to me. I think it's important to you, even though you're just finding your way out.
Travel scares me, which tells me that I need to do a little more of it, probably, because it does. That's one of those comfort zone things that I am. I just haven't done very much of. So it's like, why do I have to leave my house? I don't want to stand in a lineup at an airport where people will be asking me questions and demanding documents that I may or may not have left in my bedside table at home and have to drive an hour and a half to get it. It all just scares me a little bit, but that's a familiarity thing.
Yeah.
So,
but it's also, I think for me, because I grew up in a reasonably, what would be the right say? My mom died when I was a young adult, but um, a reasonably limited household about acceptance and embracing different cultures, right? I think travel opened my eyes and continues to open my eyes. We have more in common than we have different. And yet the differences are amazing and magical and wonderful, right? Like even Roxanne and I, our upbringings were completely different.
Oh, yeah.
And the thing is, when you get to know somebody who's had a different life than you become far, far more engaged with differences. And I think what makes us different is what makes the world great. But honestly, at the heart of it, people want to belong. They want to feel loved. They want to feel respected, right? They want to feel safe. And when you travel and you see things like we're going to Kenya, and we will go at some of the lodges, which are really high end, again, privileged lodges, right? We will tip exceptionally well for everybody who takes care of us, but we will probably also at each lodge go to some kind of a school or something, and we will engage and understand how perhaps we could help them, right?
And find out what they're about.
But that's
what
just
do
it.
they do?
And
who's involved?
And in my experiences in Africa, and I'm trying to think, I've been 4 or 5 times now, and I'm really grateful because I love the continent of Africa and I love every country I've been in. But honestly, these are people that work so hard because, like, in Kenya is a good example, and we're going back to Kenya. But you see people walking down the street, and everybody's got beautiful, crisp white shirts on, the men, or like it's light colored because it's hot there, right? Or the women, full dress, full makeup, usually carrying something on their head. They wash their clothes usually in a river where there's hippopotamuses, or they wash it under a tap in a small community. They don't typically have dryers, and yet they look better than I could ever look with all the conveniences, because that's a part of their pride. It's how they look, is how they're showing the world that they're here. Right? And it isn't ego, it's pride. It's like, I can take care of myself, I can take care of my family. And they do it in very, very hard circumstances.
You know what? It's really funny. My favorite book is The Poisonwood Bible by Barbara Kingsolver, and it's set in the Congo in the 60s and 70s. And I have never been to Africa, but I see what you're saying. The descriptions that she says, that is exactly how the people that populated her novel dressed. White shirts.
Oh my goodness. And crisp, and Roxanne can tell you honestly, by the time, if I'm cooking, I change my clothes like 3 times because I'm sloppy.
Oh, she needs to.
And then even if I'm at dinner, it's like, oh, or it's in my glasses.
Where's Ruth's bib?
But that's just it. But the thing is, there is this, and then you also see, you go to, and it was South Africa. We went to oh God, I'm going to forget what it's called. But the people there are very poor, right? And we go there, and they're like, and we're on a tour, and the tour people have clearly set it up with people. But there were people that as soon as you truly engaged, like we weren't walking through being looky-loos. It was like, I'd get down and be like, tell me, like a woman's washing clothes. And it would be like, oh my goodness, how many hours a day do you do that, right? Like, talk to me about your life. And then people are like, come in my house, come and sit here. Right, come with me, I'll make you tea, I'll bring out cookies. You know that these people have so little that these are probably cookies that they're saving for a big celebration, and that they're ready to share it with you because you made one moment of human contact with them, right? So imagine how many people don't. That's but there is a generosity among people who have much less, right? There is a pride of how they look and how they appear to the outside world, but there's a pride internally. Like, I've been into dirt huts, and their floors are cleaner than my floors, and my floors are pretty clean, and we have a really great cleaning person, right? You know what I mean? But you walk in, and they have these beautiful lace doilies that they made that are beautiful on their table, and their table is like the stump of a tree. Right? And yet also some of the most joyful people, because every little thing is a joy to them that they get, right? Whereas, honestly, I'm like, there are days when I wake up and it's like, I'm cranky, and it's like, I have a really nice bed, I have a really nice husband, I have great dogs, I have a great life, I have no freaking reason to be cranky.
I walk with her at noon,
and
She
I'm
is cranky sometimes.
I am, right?
I'm like,
I get cranky
what's
pants.
going on? You got your
Yes.
cranky pants on again.
Yep.
I got cranky
Right?
pants too. I get it.
But then
I
when
know.
and I know everything is relative,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
But the
for
other
sure.
thing is, seriously, if I get up and I don't know, I spill my coffee, there are days when it's like that sets me up for a bad morning because it had just all started crap. And these people are washing clothes with hippopotamuses and crocodiles. Like the other the comparison is, and I get it, everything is relative. Sometimes it's just hard.
Yeah.
But the other side is sometimes I'm a bit of a freaking delicate snowflake.
Yeah. Well, argument could probably be made for all of us.
Right?
Many of us.
And
many of us in our
but it is what travel to me, that's what travel brings, is not just an appreciation of what I have, but an appreciation of what other people go through.
Yeah.
Right. And even the really fun, like high-end stuff, like to go to Paris. So I've had this big conversation with the tattoo artist, right? That I'm going to get a tattoo because it's really important to me. So I explained the whole thing and I made him listen to some Jimmy Buffett's. I'm not quite sure he did. He said he did. I don't know if he did. But we had this conversation, and then I had to say to him, so I need to ask you, because I'm a big believer, a tattoo artist, and I've only got one small tattoo about dogs, but I need to ask you because I'm a big believer that I will take a piece of you with me. I said, I need to ask you if what your feelings are about trans people, LGBTQS. Somebody just told me a better way of saying that, but for those who are perhaps a little, are seen differently in some sectors. And
perhaps
I said,
marginalized.
That's the better way to say it. But I said, I need to ask you what you feel about this, and please just tell me the truth, because you have a busy tattoo parlor. You honestly don't need my business, but I need to know. And he's back and he's like, you know what? People are people and I love everybody. Right. And he's like, I have ideas about how people should behave, but it's got nothing to do with any of that.
Oh, brilliant.
Right. And so it was like, okay, then I can do this. But it was really important to me. And I did it when I got my first tattoo, because the other side of that is I'm willing to have a conversation with people who maybe believe that so I can understand better. I'm getting better about that, because for a while I was just like, yeah, I don't want to even talk to those people because I think we can find common ground.
So when you say, just to clarify, so you say people who don't accept trans or LGBTQ.
Yeah, who don't see all of us as equal.
Yes.
Like anyone who others.
Yes, who others.
People.
Exactly.
And that's my challenge. And it's not, there are a lot of things I'm not sure I wouldn't trip over myself if perhaps, let's say, one of my nieces or nephews came and said they were trans. I'm not sure that I wouldn't unintentionally say the wrong thing. My intentions would never be that, and that's the first thing I would say to them.
Yeah.
Teach me the language, teach me how to say things.
Yeah.
But I love you and I'm here for you.
Yeah.
I would worry about them because I think it's a hard life.
Yeah.
But I also think it's also incumbent upon those of us who have a voice to stand up for those who have always been disenfranchised, right? And the thing is, what excites me about this moment, as much as it's hard, for the first stinking time in my lifetime, people are standing up and saying, this is who I am.
Yes.
Because they didn't get to before.
They never could before.
Like, I almost want to cry about it. Like, I think about those. MSNBC has a thing on right now. It's a doc, and it's about military people, about the don't ask, don't tell, and how that affected them. They would let them, and I'm sure we had in Canada. I just don't know it. But like, we asked them to fight for our freedoms, and we didn't let them be who they are. And again, I completely understand that even some people in our generation, older, I get that it's like, I don't know what to do with this, but your reaction should be, I accept you. I'm not quite sure what to do with, or how I'm going to react, because I've got ingrained stereotypes.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But oh my goodness, that so many people are coming out now because they feel safer.
Yes. There's this whole there's one line of thought with some people who are saying, look at all the people who are deciding to be trans, LGBTQ, whatever.
Because they're deciding to be that.
They're deciding to be that way. Look at it wasn't that way in our generation. And I'm like, Yeah,
because you would have freaking beat the crap out of them.
Or those people probably committed suicide, or they lived lives of quiet desperation because they died by suicide. You're right. Thank you. But I have people in my circle who are gay, lesbian, trans, and I am really, these are people that I know and love, and I want to be better for them.
Right. But that's just it, right?
Like, and I'm already making mistakes with pronouns. Oh my gosh, it's hard. It's really hard to do that.
But so my experience, and I haven't had a lot, but my experience is immediately when someone says it, is say, I'm absolutely on your side. Yeah. I'll stand with you. I'll stand behind you. I will punch people in the throat because, I like to punch people in the throat. But the other side is, I'm metaphorically, is that the right word? I metaphorically punch a lot of people, man.
She does.
But then my next thing is, but I'm gonna screw up with language, and maybe with reactions. And what you have to say is, how much do you love me?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I'm trying. I'm gonna keep trying.
But that's just it. Like that, and that I think. And again, I can't speak for it because I don't know what that feels like. But I can imagine just having somebody say, "I've got to untrain myself with all the crap I got trained." Right? Would be a huge step. Or somebody saying, "You know what? I love you."
Yeah. And not I love you anyway.
Yeah, but that's just it.
I love you in spite of.
Yeah.
No, just I love you. Because when somebody says, here's the thing that's wrong with you, but I love you anyway. Yeah. You don't hear anything. You don't hear anything beyond the but.
Yeah.
You just don't. It doesn't work that way.
And it's so freaking Romans did it way back, right?
Oh my God.
Right? Indigenous groups have always had two spirits, right? Like the fact is, if we go back in history, if everybody's going to refer, and I mean, probably they're going to refer to the Bible, but there's a whole bunch of stuff in the Bible you can refer to that also makes no sense now.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Oh yeah.
Which there's a good West Wing episode that I will find and put a clip in. But
I have links galore.
Yeah, but historically, in fact, that was the way it was before. And then all of a sudden we decided you have to be this and you have to be this. And we put people in these little categories. And I get it. It's a challenging thing to see somebody you love to see, because society is not always kind.
Yeah.
Right? I completely get it.
You want the people that you love to have an easy life. You want them to have the easiest life possible. If they don't fit the mainstream, they're not going to have an easy life.
Yeah.
And so you grieve that because you know they're going to struggle. You're not grieving who they are.
Yeah.
You're grieving the fact that they're going to struggle.
We're grieving the fact that we have jerkwads in society that don't take people as they are. And honestly, it's one of those where there's a drag queen bingo here, and we haven't gone yet.
Yes, that's right.
But I really want to go.
Yeah, I do.
And not because I like bingo.
Oh, we'll have fun at bingo. We will embody bingo bags, man.
My God, here we go. But I want to go because I want that to be a thing. I want drag queen bingo, because the other side is so drag queens do these, they read to kids.
Yes.
And they do these really cool things. And it was not me, but somebody told me a story, and it might be an urban legend, but about walking down the street in New York, and all of a sudden, like, this manhole pops open and out comes a drag queen at like 7 a.m. when they were going to work. And it was just, they were just like, and this was a New Yorker that told me, and they were just like, I don't know what to do with that. and honestly, if you like, drag queens are the carnival or the Mardi Gras of a party. Oh my God. You want to have a fun party, bring a drag queen, because honestly, they're the most entertaining humans. And these are people who have decided to embrace who they are 4 billion percent. Right? And it's magnificent. And if we could just get around that we're all different, because honestly, we've been at freaking parties where there's some really girly girls there, and we like them and they like us, but we're not the same.
Nope.
Right? And so it's like, if we could just embrace that we're all not the same, and who freaking cares what appendage they have.
So I think I told you about this. It's a meme that goes around on Facebook, and I've posted it a few times about the and this came up in the video trainings that I was just doing recently about identity, gender identity versus biologic gender versus sexual orientation versus chromosomal sex versus all the different ways that sex and sexual identity can be changed. And this, it was a professor that posted.
Oh, it's that really complicated thing about X.
And he's like, oh, well, you know, if you have XX is a girl, XY is a boy. But what if you have XXY? Well, what does that mean? What if you have XY, but the hormone to turn your Y on doesn't work? Well, what if you have XX, but you have a hormone for this? What if you have all these different combinations and permutations that is not strictly boy girl when you're born? And I've heard this many times about people who are, you know, doctors making a decision in the delivery room. We're going to call this one a boy. We're going to call this one a girl, because it's ambiguous genitalia at birth. And that is not as uncommon as everyone wishes it to be. I had a point and I've lost it. And
at the base of it,
we
don't know.
No, we don't. Oh, yeah. And so the professor says,
I can tweak her.
Well done. He says, at the end of it, he does not get his students to submit a sample of their DNA for analysis at the time, because he's like, in the middle of finals is not the time to find out that your biologic sex does not match your identity. Right. Not the time. Or your chromosomal sex, whatever. It's not the time.
But it is an interesting
because none
thing,
of us,
right?
And that's the point. None of us know. We don't know. We don't know. I was a tomboy growing up. I don't know what that means. I went to school with a girl who, now looking back, I think probably she was somewhere on that spectrum. I don't know. And it was a pretty small town. There was a lot of stuff,
and also a lot of stuff that people would never bring up.
Gosh, no.
But so my dad wanted boys, and he got 3 girls, but he raised us to think like men, like, honestly, to be proactive, to be aggressive, to be entrepreneurial, to we got the opportunity to play any sport we wanted to play. Like, we never got sort of typecast. In fact, we probably got typecast the other way. And I have male tendencies. I'm when it comes to work, I'm a bit of an alpha. There's all sorts of stuff. And so when somebody says, I never felt comfortable, like I've never felt uncomfortable in my body, but I also understand, because there have been times when I've been around, what would be the right way to say this? Perhaps people who are similar to political wives. Somebody who is, and I'm a communications person. My entire life is about lifting other people up and putting them in the spotlight. But we're talking about, like, so say people that their identity is tied to their spouse. Let's say it. And I've been around them, and I'd say something, and they would be like aghast, about something I said, and it was kind of like, oh, what's wrong with me? And then I'd walk away, and it's like, there's nothing freaking wrong with me. They need to get their own identity. And now, having said that, Rosalind Carter just died this week. She had her own identity, but she was one of the first women. She had an office in the West Wing, she was one of the first. She went to cabinet meetings. And she said that what she wanted her legacy from their time in the White House to be is that no other first lady would just throw parties. Or it was something like that. But she is an impressive figure, right?
Wow. Oh, that's inspiring.
But I think that's it. Like, and I think this goes back, and now we're at almost an hour and 20 minutes. But I know. See, spending time with you guys is like just the best. But I think maybe that's the message we take away from today is, wouldn't it be nice if we could all try just a little harder this week to let people be who they are and use our voice, even if it shakes, to maybe stand up for those who feel disenfranchised and underserved and maybe a bit bullied by society. And honestly, isn't that what will make the world a better place, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we're gonna end, and now I have to find my remote to turn it off. But what do you want to see more of next week, Roxanne? What?
Oh, what do I want to see more of? I want to see more. For me, I can't go. You go first.
She's not often speechless, just telling you. I think I would like to see more of the acceptance that comes out when someone has a leadership role in someone's life and they come out as trans or gay
Mm-hmm.
or any is for those people standing up, because sometimes you see stuff on social media where it's like, that's a good parent, right? They took the lead and nobody gets to say crap, right? And the other thing is I would also like to see more of getting upgraded to business class, because I'm going on a flight on Wednesday.
Oh yes. Okay, so my sister posted a beautiful meme this week. It was a F. Scott Fitzgerald quote, something along the effect. He was paraphrasing the Dalai Lama about it being more important to be kind than to be right. And I'm a firstborn. I like to be right because I'm super smart, if you haven't picked up on that yet. So I really like to be right. So it is. So what I want this week is for me to just think more of, okay, is this kind? Is there, what will it serve to school somebody in this thing? No, you know what? Just be kind. That's the better choice.
Sometimes
Sometimes
you go to school, they've got to say.
Sometimes you got to school them, and sometimes, yeah.
Okay.
So
well, what we hope for you is more happy hours
and less bullshit. And we'll
see you in a couple of weeks.
Week or a couple of weeks.
Couple of weeks. I'm away. Couple of weeks. Okay.
Bye.